it's Lisa from My Dreaming Soap. Welcome to my channel. This soap is another soap where I've been looking at the stages of the creation of Earth and life on Earth. And the stage of Earth that I'm looking at today is the Ice Age. Now, there were lots of Ice Ages throughout the existence of Earth, but I'm picking sort of the latest Ice Age where we had mammals that existed. Because otherwise, if we're looking at previous Ice Ages where there wasn't a lot of actual, what we consider life, things like mammals and that on the Earth, it's very difficult to actually make a soap. So therefore, as I said, I'm concentrating on the latest period of the Ice Age. So this will be the last of the 4 soaps in this series. So, come on, let's go and make some soap. I'm going to start off extruding some shapes for a woolly mammoth. So I've made some extruder discs and I've also got some antique silver and some activated charcoal soap doughs. I'm going to sort of mottle them together. So I'm just going to put this in my large extruder and let's get our first disc extruded out. Okay, I'm just going to repeat that for my other shapes. I've got another mammoth to do and then I've got some tusks. So I'll extrude all that out. I'm sure you don't want to watch it all. And then I'll come back and we'll build those embeds into our little woolly mammoths. I've extruded all my mammoths now. This is the small one. So I need 3 parts. I need the mammoth body. Oh, it's a bit stuck. The tusk, and then a mammoth trunk. So I'm just going to join them with some distilled water. Okay, there's his tusk nicely secured, and then just a tiny bit more. I'm not trying to make it wet, I'm just literally just trying to get it a little bit damp. And now I want to get his trunk on. I'll need to trim that. But that is my first little mammoth done. I'm just going to do exactly the same for my second one. It's just a slightly bigger version and his trunk's done in a different position. So it's slightly different, but same concept. So I'll just do that one and then we'll start making up the soap. And then what I'm going to do, you've seen me do it before, is the tusk of my woolly mammoth, the bit that sticks out, I'm just going to go over it very lightly. Again with distilled water, but I've just put a touch of activated charcoal in it, and that's just because this tusk is going to be against a white background, so I'd like to do something just to make sure we can actually see it. Okay. I'm going to make a very small piece of soap first of all, because the idea is I want to have sort of a very white bit at the bottom, because this soap is trying to be us sort of looking out of a cave that's got all icicles hanging down onto that scene from the Ice Age. Now I know we're not saying we're looking out of the cave, I'm just doing the perspective of the cave. So I've literally got about 70 grams of oil in here and my lye solution as well. And I don't know if I mentioned, when I blended this up, I had a little bit of TD in it. You can probably see that from the white. Okay, so let's just get that. It's just going to, you can see the thinnest layer. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to set up, and then we'll do our next layer. For my next layer, it's going to be white again because it's another snowy layer, but I obviously want to distinguish it from this first layer that we've got, this very tiny weeny thin stripe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the smallest amount of royal blue. This is royal blue from Mineral Makeup Ingredients. Just so I get the tiniest difference in colour. Now this at the moment is just my oils and some TD. Okay, so just adding that blue so I get more of a sort of slightly, can you see that, a slightly bluey white there. Now I'm going to pour half of this off. Okay, and put that little bit to the side for now. And I'm going to add half the fragrance oil for this whole white bit into this half. Okay, I'm just going to leave that just for a second and then just give this a little bit of a shape. Just so it's not completely flat. And then what I'm going to do with my little mammoths is just pour some of this. It's going to be a bit messy, and try and make sure I can get it inside the leg areas. Bit more of that remaining soap and fragranced it, and I'm going to do the same here with our smaller mammoth. Right, and then here's our last little bit. Okay, so I've got a fairly solid structure under there. And obviously the bits I've put under my little mammoth. So let's see if I can get this one in. I think I'll turn it round. Right, let's just see if we can get some of that soap spread along here. For this layer, I've just put my mould up on a slight angle because I want to have some hills and I want them higher at one end than the other. Now I'm pouring this soap quite fluid because I've got lots of little gaps that I need to get into. And this time I've just done it with pure titanium dioxide. So again, it's a snowy area, but hopefully it should come out a slightly different white. Okay, so just making sure I'm filling in all those little gaps between the mammoths. I've just tested there and I think we're set up enough to make some sort of mountain shapes. With those little shapes, so I'm just going to leave that to just set so I can just pop that flat down and then we'll pour the sky. I think we're ready to pour our sky now. So in here I have got obviously my fragrance oil and my soap, and this colour I've used royal blue from Mineral Makeup Ingredients and titanium dioxide, and I've done them at a ratio of 2/3 titanium dioxide to 1/3 of the royal blue because I wanted it to be quite a sort of wintry looking sky. I didn't want it to be all sort of bright blue like a sunny day, as it were. Okay, so that's what I've got with those, and I'm just finishing off stirring in my fragrance. Okay, then this can just simply go in. So once again I'm going to let that set up a little bit and then we're going to come back and scrape out these icicles. I think we're ready to scrape now, so I've got my icicle scraper. I do sell these in the shop if you needed your own icicle scraper. So let's go in and do a scrape. Okay, so that's done. So it may look a little bit scruffy, but that's the thing with something like icicles. With a scraped soap, I would normally go back and fill in all these tiny little divots and re-scrape until it's perfect. With something like icicles, they're all jiggedy-jaggedy, aren't they? And, you know, all over the place, as it were. So some little bits and pieces missing, going to be absolutely fine. So don't need to spend too long fussing around with it. And if you're wondering about what happens to the bit that I scraped off, I've popped it into these cute little cloud moulds, and they'll make some sample soaps. They're a little bit scruffy at the top because it was quite thick, the batter, but that's all right. I just planed the very bottoms of them. But yeah, some cute little cloud samples. I've got my last layer mixed up, and I poured off a tiny little bit in here into a pot that's got some blue, that royal blue mica in, just so I can add a little bit of a swirl to the top. And then just to finish off, I've got some little snowflakes that can go on the top. So as normal, I'm going to put that through to gel, so into my little heating cupboard, and then we'll have a look at it tomorrow. Here we are with our soap the next day, so let's get it cut, shall we, and see what we've got. At what we've got. I'm going to grab a couple. Let's grab them from this end for a change. Oh, I think it's looking quite cute. Oh, yes. Let's have a look. I do think that looks quite cute. I like my icicles coming in from the top as if we're looking out there. That little woolly mammoth's a bit on the wonk there, isn't it? A little bit wonky. But they do come out really well, and I like their tusks. They've come out nicely. Oh, I'm quite pleased with those as, whoops, nearly dropped them there. And then I'll just cut the end piece, because I don't normally do that on screen, and I think people wonder sometimes how to do these. What I do with mine is, because I don't want to cut off another bit there, and I don't like scuffing that with the wire. So what I do is, I just mark where my wire needs to come. Now, one thing I don't like about this mould is the length of it. It's it's exactly on 18 bars, which is fine if you do just soaps that don't really have designs and that in them, because you don't really need to cut off an end piece. But I always like to trim off, because the ends are always going to be a little bit funny if you've used embeds and that. So it does mean I end up pretty well wasting a whole bar. I'd rather this mould was a little bit longer, so that I could, you know, just cut off half a centimetre or something each side, but that's my only complaint with it. So I end up with some really chunky sample pieces. Okay, and that gives me those final 3 bars that I've got. And to finish off, I'll leave you with a final photo of the soap. If you'd like to buy this soap or any soaps in my Time on Earth collection, they're available for sale in the shop right now. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you like the soap. If you have, it would be great if you left me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see what I'm making in the future, why not subscribe to my channel? Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy soaping!